Friends the musical parody is like a fever dream in the best possible way. I went to see it last night at Wimbledon Theatre in London. The set design makes us feel like we're in the original TV studio where Friends was filmed way back when in America. We had our screen saying recording in progress, we had our camera people, and we even had our very own TV studio warm-up guy, which I loved. The warm-up guy really changed the atmosphere in the whole audience as soon as he came on and started. I really wish we could have a warm-up guy for every single theatre show now, and petition for me to be said warm-up guy. But honestly, I think it made a real difference to the audience atmosphere and the audience vibe, and it meant as soon as the characters came on, we could really enjoy it and really give them all our support and all our enthusiasm. Now, I'll start with the obvious, the cast. How on earth did the cast manage to replicate the Friends characters that we all know so well from the 90s and noughties? Well, firstly, I'm just going to put it out there. Alicia Bellegarde, who played Monica, I don't think anybody could have gotten closer to Courtney Cox or any of the six of them than she did. She, not only did she get her mannerisms, but she managed to move like her. She sounded like her. Even when she spoke, she sounded exactly like Courtney Cox. And I don't just mean the New York accent. I mean her tone, her pitching, her rhythm. I don't know how somebody can do such a good job of replicating somebody else, especially when that somebody else is so extremely well known and loved. But Alicia Bellegarde nailed Monica, nailed Courtney Cox's portrayal of Monica, and her vocals sound amazing as well. Enzo Benvenuti as Ross and Daniel Parkinson as Chandler also did great jobs at really nailing their characters. Also, the chemistry between Daniel and Alicia, especially in the proposal scene, and they had their own song, it was gorgeous. Daniel really just got Matthew Perry's humour. He had the arm movements bang on. He even ran out of the room identically the same way that Chandler would bolt out of a room. He managed to speak with his mannerisms, to move with his mannerisms. And Enzo, who played Ross, the moments that I laughed the hardest in the show were his moments. But Ross has a certain energy about him that really adds to that intensity, and there's also a certain campness about Ross that's never really mentioned or touched upon in the show, but Enzo timed that up by 10, which made it so much more funny. He walked like Ross really well, in the way that Ross kind of moves his shoulders. Ross sort of walks with his shoulders, doesn't he? I'm doing a really bad job here. But he also had Ross's like excitable arm movements. I mean, you need to go and watch the show because he did it way better than I'm showing you. But even the way Ross speaks with his breathiness, like like Ross does again. Rubbish portrayal. So you need to go and see Friends for yourself. Amelia Atherton as Phoebe Buffay really got her facial expressions just right. I loved it. Ronnie Burden as Joey Tribbiani, again, got his movements really well. There's a really kind of specific way that Joey stands and he holds himself in his arms. And I feel like Ronnie really got that. And of course, the really iconic, how you doing? He did a really good job of that as well. And he even picked a few people out in the audience to say it too, which really worked. The resemblance between Eva Hope as Rachel Green on stage is striking with Jennifer Aniston. I was less than halfway back in the stalls, row 8, and I really felt like this is basically Jennifer Aniston's double on stage in front of me. So credit to the casting team and credit to the makeup team and credit to the actress, because that was a scarily good resemblance. Other characters we had in the show were Gunther, Paolo, Tom Selleck, not Richard, and Janice. Edward Lee played Gunther, Paolo, Tom Selleck, as well as being the warm-up guy. I don't know who played Janice. I am very confused about who played Janice. I thought it was Edward Lee, but then Janice and Gunther were on stage at the same time. And in the programme, there's no mention of Janice. I'm assuming it's one of the ensemble members, but there's no mention of Janice anywhere in the programme. Does she exist? Edward Lee played all of the things that we love about Gunther, and he did dial down the creepiness a bit, which actually I really liked, because he made Gunther more lovable whilst not losing any of Gunther's characteristics. And, oh my god, Gunther had his own song, part of their gang. The song started and I'm thinking, why on earth does this sound like Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid? That's fine, it's a parody song. And there are a few parody songs throughout the show, with the music rewritten so it doesn't sound exactly the same, and the lyrics obviously rewritten to suit the story. And Gunther was singing about how he just wanted to be part of their gang, he just wanted to be on their sofa. And the end of the show was really lovely for Gunther in reference to that. I won't spoil it. And then, oh my god, who else did we get? Who else did we get? We got the duck and the chick. Oh my god, we got the duck and the chick. And not only did we get the duck and the chick, they talk and they sing. They have their own song with Joey. Beautiful. On the note of the songs, I was a little bit skeptical about how good the songs would actually be, given that it's a parody of Friends and that the focus is obviously going to be more on the characters and the writing. But actually the songs were really good. There were clearly original songs in there as well as parody songs, and I thought both worked really well. And there was some great choreography in there as well. And we had the boys' routine right at the end with the curtain call, which was such a great decision. Now what I will say is, as the name suggests, it's very much a parody of the TV show and not an adaptation. So if you go into this show expecting a musical adaptation of Friends, there is a chance you might be disappointed. It's not a musical adaptation, it's a musical parody. And as a result, there are things that are changed. There are things that are really affectionately mocked about Friends. Some of the storylines are mocked, some of the characters mock themselves, but it's all done quite affectionately. We're all there because we love the show. There are even some references to things surrounding the circumstances of the show, like Courtney Cox marrying David Arquette, and the fact that Big Bang Theory was the next big sitcom about 10 years later. It's also not a completely accurate timeline as well. For example, Rachel goes off to Paris before Monica and Chandler get engaged. So again, don't go in there expecting it to be a musical adaptation, because there are things that have been changed, there are things that have been altered. It is very much a show in its own right and not an adaptation. And because of that, because it's a parody rather than an adaptation, they have a lot more creative freedom to kind of change things and do what they want. And so yeah, the timeline is a little bit wonky, it is a little bit messed up, but it also, they've done that so that jokes can flow, new jokes can flow, and they're not trying to be an accurate representation of Friends. They're trying to be something new for everybody that loved the original Friends. And given that it's a 2-hour show plus interval, the fact that they managed to cram all of the iconic elements from Friends, 236 episodes of Friends, into 2 hours, I said is pretty damn impressive. So major credit to the writers there. I first heard about Friends the musical parody years ago when it was in New York City, and I've been waiting for it to come to the UK for so long, for years. But I won't lie, ever since I heard of it, I was a little bit skeptical. You know, how is a parody of Friends going to work? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be cringe? Is it going to make me want to squirm in my seat? And to be honest, even seeing so many good reviews, I was still skeptical. So if you are feeling skeptical or a little wondering how on earth it could work, I get it. That's how I felt. But I also love Friends so much that I wanted to see it anyway. I had to see it for myself. And it was so good, so funny, such a feel-good thing to watch, especially as Friends left Netflix last month. And now I can't get my Friends fix on TV, but I can get my Friends fix at Wimbledon Theatre for a week. If I could say one thing about Friends the musical parody to sum it up, I would call it Friends on steroids. Friends on steroids sums it up perfectly. Friends is in London at Wimbledon Theatre until Saturday the 24th of January, and then it's going to continue touring the UK until the 2nd of May. I will put the locations and the dates on the screen so you can see, but there are still dates to go in England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland. So wherever you are, it should be coming close to you. If you're a fan of Friends, tell me in the comments below, what do you think of a Friends musical parody? Are you skeptical? Or are you loving the sound of it? If you've seen it, let me know what you thought. And lastly, Friends the musical parody has some great merch, including this little pin here. It's the staircase with a sofa on, and the sofa says pivot, and it moves up and down. How cool is that? I mean, I would have liked it if there'd been a pin with a little bit more colour. Friends is known for that iconic purple and yellow colour combination of the door, so it would have been really cool to have a pin like that, but I am slightly obsessed with the pivoting sofa. It doesn't spin, it just goes up and down. And yes, Ross says pivot a lot in the show. If you want to see more theatre reviews and other theatre content in 2026, hit subscribe. And you can go and check out my TikTok and Instagram too in the description.